Okay, folks. So you make sure everything's going as planned. We're going to try to multitask. I know it's going to be the apocalypse for me. That's going to be the apocalypse for me trying to multitask something, but we're going to attempt to do it. What is that? How did that fall all the way down there? And we got some items here that we're going to be giving them a wash to this morning. So that's what we're going to start with. Got the Crusader. Strong tone here. So we're basically filming a live video at the same time. Not through the camera on the computer, but through the different camera, which will have no sound on it. I've never done this before, but I don't want to give up my morning show. And I don't know how it's going to go. And the only reason I do that is I know some of you, well, you guys aren't because you're online with me. But some of you guys are too lazy to watch this. Where I've shown this a bunch of times. But this is a Crusader one. I got the Marmon Harrington over here that I need to touch some stuff up before I can do the video on that. And then I'll shut it off. There's no sound or anything that's going to be on this. We're going to be playing this in 8 times speed or something like that. Might turn comments off on it. Not on this live feed, but the other thing, because my tolerance for smartasses is basically nil. You know, and I'm not an airbrush person. I never will be, and I'm sure I made all kinds of airbrush errors. You know, I should know better, airbrushing. And I've really got no interest in talking about it. Especially since I'm still learning and, you know, I'm doing this out of the stupidity of my heart, I guess. Okay. Of course, I don't know what the hell's on the camera. So we're going to have to move that off to the side. But we airbrushed the Crusader 1 over here. Yesterday. I always keep a small torch handy, so when I drop things under the workbench, I have a better chance of finding them before the carpet monster. Well, luckily, I don't have carpet. But I don't expect to drop things, but you know, I'm trying to do 2 things at once. Wake up, film your video, and then also the live one. So, I don't know. It's just... seems like so much that I do, I'm always like fucking rushed. Maybe if I lived alone in a fucking cave or, you know, I was in prison like for on a life sentence, wouldn't be in such a much of a hurry. But I'm actually really patient when it comes to painting this stuff. But like setting up the camera, I mean, I've spent like 15, 20 minutes trying to set up the camera at different angles, and I'm just like, fuck it, this is what we're gonna roll with. And if it doesn't work, well then go watch something else. That's it's I got no tolerance for that. It's like it's just going round and round. And I want it over here. Oh wait, the light's reflecting off the roof. Hold on, I see the shadow of something else. I'm not made for that technology bullshit. You know, like it should be a lot easier to do. Not like, well, you got to look at the light from over here. I'm like, okay, I'm giving up. Okay. Maybe this will be the last video like this I'll make because it's gonna be a pain in the ass to fucking edit. A torch. See, you can't use that. You keep a torch in here. It's like, okay, fire up the torch. Oh, not that kind of torch. New Army Painter Strong Tone, any different from the old? Don't know. Didn't know there was a new one. As far as I know, that there's two strong tones. There's one that comes in a tin, and the one that comes in a tin is a different material than this one. It's more of like a lacquer. This is like a water-based thing. This is the only one I've used, so I hope they didn't go and change the formula again. I had a live Zoom call yesterday that went really well. Enough that I want to try that on my own with you guys at some point. I have trouble hearing people, and I had no trouble hearing anybody, but I also used a headset. And that went really, really well. I don't know how to do that on a live show yet. But I'll probably figure it out because you guys know how to behave. You know. You guys aren't going to start going off on some rant like Lenin or something like that. A Lenin like rant. But I wouldn't be worried about trying to do this now as a live thing if it didn't take forever for this stuff to dry. Like this stuff takes a long time to dry, and I really kind of need it to do part of the process right now. And I didn't want to start the video 30 minutes later. And I hate this autofocus thing. I can't figure out when to use it and when not. I'm not made for film and shit. I'm a painter. I'm not good at everything, and I don't want to be good at everything, because if you're good at everything, guess what? You're the one doing everything. I gotta sub things out to other folks. But I did not know there was a new tone. I'm not happy to hear that, because Null changed their formula, and the new one sucks. The new one always sucks. It's never. I don't know. Maybe it just seems like they redo products, and it's not to make them better, or maybe they make other products better, but it's not the ones I buy. You know. There's a saying here in the United States. It's called "Stop moving the football," and that's stop changing. Okay, we've got everything where you stop moving the football, stop moving the soccer ball. I guess that would apply the same way, but I don't know if in European football, whatever, it's different. So I don't know how this goes. Maybe this will discourage me, but enough people have asked me how to do a video, and I don't know, maybe we're doing this by request, but if you get too much complaints or too much bitching about it, I might just take the comments off. I don't have to deal with that. That's why my comments are moderated on these videos. Not right now. You say whatever the hell you want. Please don't. Use the common sense that you've used so far. But like on videos, if I post this afterwards, everything anybody posts is, they can't just post it automatically, and that wasn't always the case. But the one time I did some video, I think it was a DBA battle, and some people would post after the battle comments that are not in the spirit of my gaming page. I'll leave it at that. Or the short version is they wanted to start a jihad. I'm like, this is not the place for that. So, if you don't moderate comments, they get put at some time where I'm asleep, and I wake up and it's a work day, and the next thing I know I have to chase all these comments all over the table, all over the feed before I go to work, and I'm pressed for time. That happened to me once. I'm like, okay, we can't have that. We can't go troll somewhere else. Go troll somebody somewhere in a place where someone's going to argue with you. I'm not going to argue with anybody. I'll just ban your ass. The new one is called Warpaint's Fanaticus Strong Tone. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. I'm not a huge fan of Warpaints as a general rule. Now, these things, these shades, I am a fan of them. They work really well. Let's make sure we got this in all the places that we kind of want it to. Some people would call this a filter. I don't know. And newfangled technology, newfangled nomenclature. All right, let's. At this point, I don't worry about this stuff at all. This method has gotten. Oh, okay. Well, this might be an issue. Let's do something a little different. Let's lay these flat. That way this tone evens out a little bit. I actually never really noticed that. I don't know if it would even make that much of a difference, but I'm seeing it pool all in one place. And I'd rather be a little even. That one's fine. That's straight up and down. That's fine. Okay. Maybe just a suspension. I also normally don't have the vehicle that falls apart, that I tear apart that way. I only did it that way because these things go together so well that it's kind of a waste if you don't do that, because it's going to make painting them a lot quicker. These are going to be beautiful. Good morning, Marcus. So you missed the meat and potatoes of the show yesterday by accident with those micro mark lists. That is just like a blind person that learned to see. It's just unbelievable. And one of the things I noticed, I didn't notice it until this morning, I haven't looked at it in superb detail. But the one that I downloaded for the 15th Panzer Division, the first thing I noticed this morning was that during Operation Crusader, the 3rd and 7th Company are missing. And they didn't arrive until December of 1941, until the end of December of 1941. And they were equipped with more modern tanks. They were equipped with the Jays. They didn't have the long 50s, but there were still Jays and the Panzer II Fs. So, if I'm doing stuff for Operation Crusader, and I'm doing the 15th Panzer Division, which I am, then I'm going to make sure that none of my companies start with the single number 3 or 7 if I want to use them in the early battles, which is, most of the stuff. I don't know where the hell this guy got this information from. Maybe he's got to deal with some higher power, or maybe a lower power. But there's some incredible shit in there. And I was really tempted to order this stuff for Wintergewitter, but I'm just going to go down a rabbit hole. This is beautiful. This is absolutely beautiful, the way this is turning out. Well, this isn't my first rodeo. I've done this enough times and been really happy with the results. So, and I'm also looking at it with my contacts out. So I'm seeing stuff that people that aren't born broken can't see. Okay, so we're done with that. So this video will be off. All right, now we go back to normal. No, but I need drying time. That's the only reason I'm doing this. Now, to fix the Marmon Harrington, I tried airbrushing this live for this video, and I don't know how much of the airbrushing I'm going to show because it's super. I'm never going to airbrush. I can airbrush 10% of my skill, or maybe even less than that, than painting. I am a hand painter. Yeah, so if you haven't done the Ghazala research, man, that's the thing to do with. There's stuff there that's nowhere else. So a couple of things surprised me. On the micromarks list. A lot of the equipment was moved by from the German standpoint, was moved by Krupp-Pratt's trucks. And I was just watching the Great Mims channel. He does 28mm for bolt action. He was going through a stash of Normandy-related kit for work in the new year. Quite a nice stash of Normandy buildings. The Great Mims. Never heard of her. I assume it's short for Mimi. You wouldn't want to name a guy Mimi, would you? I can't do. If I get this done enough, I will end up firing the video back up. But give me my phone. I need my phone back. I need my phone back so I could come up with. But the Zoom call went really well yesterday, and I really want to try that for this channel. So if any of you guys are up for a Zoom call or a Zoom show, at some point in the future, maybe even in the next week, specifically after Christmas, between Christmas and New Year's, I'd be up for doing that. My concern is that I wouldn't be able to hear people really well, and that wasn't the case. And I felt like I felt it went really well, you know. And I used a headset so I could hear everybody plenty loud. That's usually my problem. Is you're talking to somebody and like, dude, enunciate, enunciate. Or are you trying to obfuscate what you're saying? So here's the Marmon Harrington with the colors that were deemed by the AK gods that they're the correct ones. I know they vary a little bit, and they will be varied when I'm done with them because I end up splashing dusty stuff on them. But I need to clean up. I need to figure out what's going on the front here because I don't actually have a paint guide per se on the Mark III. But I did find out that the Mark IIIs, according to the micromark list, are in the King's Dragoon Guards, which is exactly what the other unit I wanted to do in. And I did ask on the North Africa campaign group. A guy sent me a link. I bet it's the link I already have. Looking to confirm what the arm of service markings were on the King's Dragoon Guard Armored Car Regiment vehicles during Operation Crusader. I'm thinking it may have been 98 inside the blue-green split. Because the other one is the 76 is the other one. The 11th Hussars. Working on some armored cars, I would like to put the appropriate markings on. Okay, somebody just sent me a link to this. Yes, that is the document I used to get me this far, but need to confirm the King's Dragoons Guard is the, what is it called? What's the what's the terminology for it? It is called Junior Armored Car Regiment. I figured I'd rather ask instead of just go with it, and then some smartass says, "Oh, you did it wrong. It should have been this." Well, where the fuck were you? You know. You're back in a short bit. Got to take one of the dogs staying with us out for a short utility walk. Short utility walk sounds like you better take him for a walk, or he's gonna get fattened up. He can't get out of the room. Okay. So what I was using, and I thought I saved this picture last night. I guess I did not. I thought I did. It's the front that's the issue, and if I don't know, then then I'm just gonna fudge it. I was using the Mark II inspiration, and it's the same type of thing that's kind of, so according to this, this side goes to the end. Okay. But then on this side, it's this top section I'm trying to figure out. And ultimately, I know that there's a little bit of, some people may argue with you, but you know, there is some flex in it. Like they are hand painted, and people are going to make human errors, but it's basically the spirit of it, if it's done in the correct way. So I'd found this guy that had made a model of it. I was pretty happy with this. Is this it? I think I just found it. No, that's a Mark II. I thought it was a Mark III that he actually did. I'm gonna paint it in the same equivalent style as this, and roll with it. And this is a guy that has, sure, it's 1/35th scale. So let's clean this thing up. All right. Let's let's do this color. The color that, the infamous blue that according to AK is doesn't have any blue in it. It's silver gray. And if you look at the equivalents on Vallejo, it's also a different color. So I may actually use some of these other variations on some of these counter schemes just to mix it up a little bit. But it's not going to be like sky blue. That's, you know, I'm not going to go there. I'll let other people go there if you like it. And I don't dislike the way sky blue looks, but it's just apparently patently wrong. All right, we need a brush that we need a little bit more confidence in. We want something that we can put some paint down in, but also have some control. And something like this would probably be just fine. Ooh, do we have any of this magic water left? We do, okay. And it's magic because it's clean. And I don't want to get up and leave again. Now, where are my... We don't need very much of this, but... When you airbrush certain colors, you got to use their thinner or things become weird. When you're hand painting it, you get thin with water. I mean, you could use the thinner too, but I like free thinner myself. All right, so let's clean up the front of this. All right, so we're going to take this light green, is really what it looks like, and we're going to come over from here to this. All right, so we're going to expand this green, and then we're going to lighten it up with, and then we're going to clean up the slate color. All right, so we want this to cross in over in this zone. And other people may be a lot more comfortable doing this with airbrush. I'm not. I got a mask and hold the fucking camera and do all, you know, I'm not your guy for that stuff. I'm not your guy for airbrush miracles. Let's move this out of the way. I don't have 40 years of experience airbrushing. I got two. Okay, and all of this on this line underneath will be this color or slate. So we're just going to paint up to the slate line, and then we'll expand the slate line out this way to where it needs to be. This is probably what I should have done, is just hand paint it. It's not like, oh, it's got to be airbrush because that'll be too thick. No, I don't use a lot of heavy handed thickness when I paint. Thickness of paint. All right, let's follow this line. This line goes to the middle of this thing. It's going to take a couple of passes to clean it back and forth, but this is how we do everything, how we're used to. All right, now, just so we have some sense of, so it makes sense, it's actually, no offense to my British friends, it's not that attractive of a vehicle. However, it looks very, for instance, a Mark 6 tank is not an attractive tank, but it's a very cute tank. I think this is very cute. And I always said when I did Western Desert, I think the Africa Corps vehicles are boring compared to the British vehicles, are the ones that just have some really cool camouflage. Same thing with the British Navy. I love the British World War II ships. Love them. British World War One ships, not a fan. Sorry, I like the German World War One ships better. But the German World War II ships are awesome. They got great names. They got awesome camouflage. Okay, so this is in the right place. The only thing is, I think actually, I'm going to go back to this. I think it actually expanded too much in this area. I think when you take this line and clean it up, see, I should just freaking hand paint this stuff. This is, look at that. I mean, I can't do that with an airbrush. I can't do that with an airbrush. Some people might. I can't do it. And I'm okay with that. And just wait till we weather this thing and put the, there's a bunch of armored cars coming. Let's just put it this way. Mr. Ben, I had a successful Zoom call yesterday. You in for a Zoom call at some point in the next week? I don't know how to set one up, but I'll figure it out. Dumber people than me have been able to do shit. I'm sure I can do it. There's dumber people than you? Yes, unfortunately, yes, there are. I also felt like I had the best clarity of everybody. I have a good internet speed here when it wants to work, and I think the internet gets glitchy everywhere. I don't care where you are. There's just times where it just doesn't want to work for whatever reason. Just like sometimes I upload a video that's 10 minutes long for YouTube, and sometimes it takes 7 minutes to upload it, and sometimes it says, oh, this will be 2 hours. Like, why is it 2 hours? Like, it's only a 10-minute video. The secret for the research Mark does is interlibrary loans. He manages to look at massive amount of rare and out-of-print books that way. You have no mic or webcam. How do you make your money on OnlyFans then? Oh, it's just silent movies. I think you could do it on your phone. That that micro thing is incredible. That micro thing is incredible. So those of you guys that know him, tell him I greatly appreciate the work he's doing, and I'm going to recommend his stuff to other people until I find something patently wrong with it, which I'm not there to do. I'm not there to I'm not there to make people look bad. That's not my purpose in life. You guys can do that on your own. You don't need my help. Where does this? Okay, it looks like this one comes back down like this. Okay, so if that's the case, I think we need to work on both colors at the same time. But I noticed at the bottom of that 15th Panzer Division, something I would have never known this. Never would have found this out. That the 15th Panzer at Operation Crusader didn't have the 3rd and the 7th companies. They didn't arrive until late in December, which by that time the battle's over. There's no way I would have found that out. Okay, and where does it go on the side of this one on the side? If there's a picture of this side, if not, I'm gonna wing it. Looks like this whole fender is that color. Maybe. Well, I'm just going to paint this way, and it's going to be close enough for me. And if you don't like it, well, then you can paint your vehicle a different way. Congratulations, I showed you how not to do it. Because I don't have anything on the Mark III. Okay. All right, the rest of this is going to be green. Or green-like. We're going to call it green, even though they call it silver gray. As you would say in Spanish, de gray no tiene nada. Ain't no gray there. All right, now we'll go back to pass along the praise. If you do find anything wrong, let us know and I can pass it on to him. He's not averse to revisions. Okay. Oh, I do have a mic on your headphones. There you go. I did it with headphones, only because I can turn the volume up more. And I had no trouble understanding people. Yeah, that Zoom call worked really well, and it motivated me to use it for the hobby. So I'd like to do one of those between Christmas and New Year's. I should have some time to do that. Okay, and this looks like it slides all the way over to here. I would have never known that the 3rd and 7th company weren't there. So that means I'm not going to put a 3 or a 7 on any of my command vehicles, on any of those vehicles. Yeah, I love painting in thin coats because you have a lot more control also. Especially if you're going back and forth. All right, That's enough of the green here. I think we've got that line where we need it to be. Now we have this stripe of the base color, which I absolutely hate painting this, because this paint is awesome for airbrushing. For hand painting, frankly, sucks. It's too thin. So we will get on with it as best as we can. Okay, and it looks like it goes over from that point over half of the fender. I won't manage. I've done more difficult things. Now I airbrushed a lot lighter than this because at this point this paint is really only to catch the next step, which is going to be the strong tone. And then we'll come up and bring everything back up. So there was no point in throwing a lot of paint on this and then having to go and clean it back up. Didn't really matter, but. So we're going to this is a Portland stone. All right, we've got these guides here. Oh, but this is a different vehicle. Okay, so if they wanted to do the equivalent one, we're going to have this end of this is going to go through the fender somehow. Half of the vision slot. Okay, so the vision slot is going to be something like this. Okay, we're going to go down the vision slot, and then it's going to come over like so, cross into here, catch half this fender, or a portion of it, like so. And this other line is going to be an expanding line on this green, and it's going to come down like this, and it's going to expand something like that. It's going to go pretty damn close to the corner. So this is the stripe I need to fill in of this color. All right. Right. By the way, Skytrex have a sale on right now, including decals. They have revised postage for the decal only orders. Oh, okay, I'll check that. Okay, Skytrex decals, they're one of the best that I've used. Microscale are still number one. Skytrex is way up there, or at least the decals I got by them are really nice, and I'm okay with this being a little watered down. Yes, if you know that guy, you tell him he's my hero. Tony doesn't like anybody. He thinks you're great. I'll let him do his thing. I don't need to double check his sources. I trust. I assume, probably for the wrong reasons, but I assume people's heart's in the right place. But, unfortunately, I'm disappointed somewhere. You don't tell me how to paint, and I won't tell you how to make the Army list. How about that? And I don't know that I'm going to get an answer. If you talk to him, see if he knows anything about our unit of service markings. Because I'm making these guys for the King's Dragoon Guards, and I don't want to put the wrong markings on them. But I'll make an educated guess if I have to. And my educated guess will be close. I think I would have done okay without his list, but, I don't like making judgment calls if I don't have to, because it's not like, I'm on some god complex like, oh, I'm going to decide what color these guys are going to be. I'm like, let's look at the real stuff. If you don't have any information, it's one thing, but I should have just painted this by hand instead of fucking around with the airbrush. Still have to touch this stuff up anyways. And this takes a long time, but man, it's worth it. These counter schemes are really cool. And the Matilda is going to be counter. I've got the turret of the one Matilda. It's going to be overall light stone, but the other one's going to be counter. $17 outside. We're like at 35 or something like that. I think I asked him before about some markings, but it was a little obscure for an off the topic of the head answer. Okay. Well, yeah, those weird ass crosses. I don't like the way they look. They don't look right. Those Germans aren't right in the head sometimes. All right. And I tried using the tape, and the tape pulled off the paint. I'm a lot more comfortable doing this the old school way. I got the skills and the patience to pull this off, so. And this looks like it's sloppy, but it won't be. I'm painting this kind of transparent so that we're not gooping the paint up. Okay, all this in here is going to be filled. Actually, this paint being too thin isn't that bad this time. And the best thing about this little guy is it doesn't have any headlight cover, so we get to paint little lenses. Another Brum vehicle. This is a huge vehicle. Like, as far as like not cramped, it sure looks like it's not very cramped in there. I bet they've got a pot to boil tea in there. Do they drink iced tea in Britain, or am I going to be the only weird one over there? Well, I'm not going to be the only one weird one over there. I'm going to be the only. What's this guy got to say? Okay. All right, let's go back. Let's go back here to the back and clean this up with this color. And this doesn't have to be exactly the same way that's shown on here, because there are variations in the way they painted these things. To some degree. You just kind of have to follow kind of the spirit of it. You know, the back of almost all of these comes to a point. For whatever reason, it comes down to like a point. You know, you can't just like start throwing these slats, which is what I would have done. You know, said, "Hey, here's your three colors." I would have thrown slats like this, like if it was a ship. No, the same rules don't apply. The same rules definitely don't apply. And like for instance, this, we've got this color here. We're going to I mean, the whole thing's going to end up getting dry brushed lightly in this color. This is exactly how we did the A13, and I'm so proud of how that thing turned out. It turned out exactly how I wanted it to. Yeah, see, I don't have to paint this neatly because it's going to get a wash on top of it, and it's going to get a dry brush on top of it, and it's been beaten up by the elements. So by the time we're done, yes, Mr. Stomach. Iced lemon tea is popular. Yeah, I just don't like drinking anything warm. Freaking ate Scooby Doo. Oh man. Let's put this think I'd be in pain or having a baby or having to go to the bathroom or something. A lot of this stuff it'll end up ironing itself out when you end up adding the wash. But you need to let this stuff set for a little bit because the wash loves to lift the paint out underneath it unless it's set. I don't know how long, 3-4 hours, 6, something like that. Enough that we're gonna go work on Africa Core stuff here in a little bit while this thing simmers. The Daka. And this looks pretty sloppy. I mean, if I was gonna finish this, like, this is pretty sloppy. But exactly how I'm looking for it to look like when I'm done. And not that, it's not sloppy. Although this is getting a little incorrigible. All right, we want to keep, I know if you look at it from the front, it's correct, which means you just have to just deal with it from the side. Okay. I think we're about ready to throw the towel in on this one. That's about where it needs to be. I wonder how durable that is. Okay, so this is the Marvin Harrington Mark III. So, waiting for this to cure a little bit, and then do the brown wash. How's Mr. Crusader doing? Yeah, it still needs some time. This work better with the wheels? Yeah. Well, normally I build it assembled, so the wheels would pull on the bottom anyways, but that just adds another little color. It changes the tint of it a little bit, and it keeps the entire vehicle from looking like it's the same color sprayed in the factory. There's a lot has changed since the 1990s. And what I mean by that is, if you take a model that in the 1990s would have looked just fine and you show it now, it doesn't look the same. Like it's just, there's this Tamiya Panzer IV, Afrika Korps Panzer IV Tamiya, that I saw built. Here you go. And there's nothing wrong with this thing, okay? But it's this particular model, a Panzer IV-E. I happen to have a Panzer IV-E. And if you look at this built model, there's nothing wrong with this thing. I don't know why you're not letting me make it bigger. The color of the actual vehicle itself is almost the same all the way across. There's no, to use other people's words, modulation. Okay? It doesn't look right to me. And, I do war game stuff, so, none of the bolts and stuff are accentuated. Now, if you looked at a real vehicle, if you looked at a real Panzer IV, if you go back in time, you probably would see one that looked exactly like this. But this doesn't cut it 3 feet away. It'll just look like a big brown blur. So, now I don't know how the hell these people got away with doing this. Let me show you a little, let me zoom in on this number. You can't do this. I don't know how they did this here, but you can't look at that 0. The distance that 0 has to travel to go over that flap, that's what it is. It's basically a flap that opens. It's a vision slot, but it's also a flap that you can open and go, hello, It's so much farther than the distance the 4 has to go, or the 2. The 2's going over nothing. So when they give you that decal, that 0 has to be bigger than the 2 to be able to travel that extra distance to go up over the flap and then come back down. It needs to be, 5% bigger. You do that with a regular decal and that 0 looks smaller. So that is my big reason not to do vehicles for the 21st Panzer Division. Because the 21st Panzer Division, as far as I can tell, always had their numbers go over stuff, which basically means I'd have to hand paint all of them, which isn't terrible, except they're almost always hollow numbers. That's a nightmare. That would just take forever. Like, I'm okay doing it if I have to build one tank for them. You know, and I could do it. If anybody could do it, I could do it. But I'm wasting my time doing that instead of doing other stuff. And at the end of the day, I don't like how it looks. I don't like how it looks. It looks like I don't know where to put it. Put it on the side of this, and that's what they used. But it doesn't look. I'd rather it not go over that. I don't have a problem with red. I don't have a problem with outline numbers. I just don't like it going over shit. So that was the big determination. Like why not make? I'm not making stuff for the 21st Panzer, and ultimately I don't forget, and nobody will care other than me. You know. So. Okay, we can't mess with the Crusader. Let's get the Africa Corps guys out here. All right, I think we already built the Panzer IV. Yeah, and I'm going to build up that little bit of that. And somebody was saying, let's not the tropicalized version. I don't give a fuck about that, okay? If they made two versions, I'll pick the right one. But if they only make one, it'll work for me. I believe it's the Panzer IIIs we need to work on right now. The G and the H. Clean these things up while the Crusader dries. Maybe the Crusader will be dry enough here that I can do it. I need to go grab a Coke. Be right back. All right. Fine, fall on the ground. What do we got here? This is the one for the H. Where's the one for the G? Is it in a different box? I pushed everything out of the way for the Zoom call and it messed me up. Every time I push stuff out of the way, I end up screwing myself. I had everything organized. What's this? Oh, we got the little Panzer II to do also. Don't fall on the ground. No shit breaking. Okay, it's not there. Not there. I don't want to throw these boxes away, man. He ships the stuff in these really nice boxes. That one's empty. What the hell does this one go to? This is the 2C, and that's the 2C. That's the 2F. Okay, there's the H. That's the H. So this is the G. Double check. Yep. So where's the accoutrement for the G? So we just push things out of the way. Here's an empty baggie. I bet it's underneath here. I was so rushed for time yesterday. I wanted to do the show with you guys, and then I'd never set up a Zoom call before, and it turned out just fine, but... Okay, well, we're going to work on the H first, and then we'll worry about where the G stuff is. It's here somewhere. I just moved it off to the side, and it disappeared. That's my secret. You want to find something, stop looking for it. Holy shit, this thing's got a lot of details. All right. Stop looking for it. All right, where are the tweezers? I gotta look for that. Man, that Zoom call fucked me up. They want to get stuff off the table. All right. I just find it. Yep. All right, tweezers. They should be up here because they're so small that they fall in the... And probably won't need an X-Acto knife, but let's get it out here. X-Acto knife's like using a laser to cut butter. All right. Oh, in that case, we're doing the G first. It is more basic. Should be. It's got less applique armor. All right. Now, one thing I have not tried with his castings is to scrape any time that there's any kind of like staggered step stuff. I don't know how his plastic handles. Or his resin, or whatever you call this stuff. I have no idea. So let's see if I can find a spot that's kind of out of the way. I don't think it's worth messing with. It's not worth messing with it. Alright, here's the ubiquitous jack. Let's kind of do this methodically. We're going to start over here. There's another one. There's another one. And it's funny how the resin works. There's some parts that there's some step detail showing here, like staggered steps. And then there's some things that have just an unbelievable amount of detail, like the jack, like the hitch that's on the back of the Panzer IIs. It's just unbelievable. But then, like, this is like, it really shouldn't have that stepped. But it does, you know. It's just kind of odd the way that works. And it has a smell, but it's not an unpleasant smell. I've got to watch the flex. So go ahead and cut this. Now we can pull them off. Good advice. Stop looking and you'll find it. If not, then ask the genius, the house spirit, and you will mysteriously find it in plain sight. I find stuff for my wife all the time, and she finds stuff. I'm like, I don't know what this is. Is this it? I go to my airbrush yesterday, go airbrush, and something I've never misplaced before. I don't even know why. It's gone. Like the back of the airbrush, there's this little nut. The nut that the needle goes through that holds it in place. I said I can't airbrush without that, and I can't just go to Hobby Lobby and pick it up because they don't have it. I'd have to order it, which means I can't do my airbrush video today. So pissed. She can't help me out there and find it. And while she's looking for it, I actually found it. But because she was in another place, it's over on the ground, like far away from it. Like, why would that have even fallen off? I actually don't remember the last time I've actually lost something and not recovered it. If that happens a lot more when you're in your 70s and stuff, I may consider euthanasia. It's really freaking annoying. Really annoying. Let's pull this straight from the wall. Not flexing it down. I don't want this MG34 to break. This thing has an insane amount of detail. So make sure you don't do any companies there, Marcus, that would start with 7. Are not going to make it. Well, you're not doing Operation Crusader stuff anyways. I suspect the Gazala one's super interesting as well. But Gazala wasn't much of a seesaw. That's why I think Crusader is interesting, because it's a seesaw. Oh, the Germans are going to win. Oh, the British are going to win. Oh, the Germans are going to win. Oh, the British are going to win, you know. And it's actually the airfield. The airfield is what I find fascinating, or the airstrip, or the area of land that was straight enough to or level enough to land aircraft on. Looks like we're missing a headlamp. Missing a headlamp on the. I don't know if it's in here or not. If it's in here, cool. If it's not, it's all right. It's not like there's a Panzer 3G that didn't have a headlamp, but it is missing a headlamp there. You know, 99% of this comes out fine. I'm okay with there being a 1% fail rate. If I made my own, it'd be higher than a 1% fail rate. Okay, I think this one's pretty much free of... The very front of Grant model has some steps. I think the camouflage panel will distract the eyes from it, but if not, I might need to put a spare bogey or some part of it. The rest of the model's beautiful. Yeah, I don't know what causes that. It's not that big of a deal. There's all kinds of errors with plastic models too. You know, the turrets on these Panzer IIIs are the right freaking shape, unlike Plastic Soldier Company. It's ultimately just a model. And some of these people, they get really anal retentive about stuff, and then they go and play a game that treats all Panzers the same. Like, well, that's just silly, you know? Like, look, I've never seen one that has this kind of detail on this hinge that's down here on the side doors, like that. All right, it shouldn't have these. Shouldn't have this. I mean, I've never seen the kind of detail that's on. I'm taking a picture of this and showing you guys. This is unbelievable. Some things are just unbelievable. They look better than the real vehicle. Now let me use my shitty picture taking skills. Let's see if I can do this. This is insane. Good thing I can paint all this stuff. I'm glad I waited 20 years to do this. It's not perfect, but you know, look at all those bolts on that box. Now the bolts on the back, once you really zoom in, you can tell that they're kind of the wrong shape, but hey, whatever. Look at all those bolts across the top of those bolts that are across the top of that box. That's just insane. Or the rivets. And I love this. I love that these are squishy. I love that there's play in these. This is how all suspension should be on all models. So you have several dogs with you, Marcus, that are not yours. You pet sit, or they live with you, or the people are traveling, or there's no plastic model that I have ever seen in 1/72nd scale that has the teeth that are hollow. The center tooth hollow. I've never seen that ever. What's the and if that's the I know you pet sit for people. What's the dumbest name for an animal that somebody's ever given them? I knew a guy that had a Dalmatian, and just to be a dick, he named him Stripe. Pet sit. And this is a peak time with people traveling for the holidays. Normally, we are also traveling. So if you were traveling, it's like, sorry about that. You guys are on your own. Yeah, I can't imagine having kids there. Now you don't have a kid anymore. You got an adult and name only. But I remember when we stayed at that place near Columbus Circle. There's this apartment that we stayed at had a view of this YMCA. I think it was a YMCA. I don't think it was boys club or girls club or something like that. I think it was a YMCA. It's on like the 25th floor or something like that. And there's this open courtyard at one point that reminds me of something I would see on Sesame Street. Remember, I'm not from New York, and Sesame Street, or maybe that place on the sitcoms you see that are set in New York where everybody parties on the roof. But that's what it looked like. It was like a roof thing, but it was surrounded by this really high fence with concertina wire. And it just seemed like a prison. Like, man, this is like a sentence, you know? The dogs on this side are Bolt, well, there's original, Sprout, Cody, and Rosie. Poor Rosie. What's wrong with Rosie? You have 4 dogs running around loose in your. Oh my God. They loud all the time? I think the name of the dog should go with the look of the dog. So, in other words, if you got a Shar Pei, he's got to have a Chinese name or a Chinese sounding name. You know, stuff like that. One girl, 3 guys. Hopefully, Rosie's the girl. The only dogs I really feel sorry for, you'll see a homeless guy, and a homeless guy has a dog. I'm like, it's bad enough you're a dog, and your freaking owner is too freaking lazy to get a job. Like, come on, man. Let the dog go. Let somebody take care of the dog. The dog's not getting any, you know, they do that to get sympathy or whatever. It's like, yeah, here's your sympathy. Let me take the dog from you. Before the dog turns into an alcoholic. I just wish dogs didn't have a smell. And they do. It's by design. You know, so they can track each other. I mean, humans have a smell too. The problem is we try to suppress that. Unless you're a gamer, in which case you don't suppress it. But I didn't grow up with any pets, so I don't. It's just not something that resonates with me. But I probably like dogs more now than I ever have. I didn't really care for them as a kid. Dogs are better behaved now than they used to be when I was a kid in the 70s. They always want to jump at you or snip at you or, you know. I think people just take better care of dogs and they're better behaved. They take better care of dogs and worse care of kids. All right. Let's see how fit and finish is on this thing. And if this thing fits on there really tight, I'm going to paint it and then glue it on because it saves me a ton of work. So the fit and finish on it is pretty tight. do that. No, I don't think I will. I'm going to glue it. Now, when you put this, you got to be careful that when you look at this, it's both of the sides of the hatch are exactly the same. So you got the little pad, keeps you from bumping you on the top of your little Nazi head, right? But this is the side that goes forward because it's got a vision, it's got a periscope that goes straight forward. And towards the back, it doesn't have one straight towards the back, it's towards the other two angles. So you want to make sure you put it like this and not the other way around. Food for thought. Now, they haven't responded to me. I told them about these figures. Let me grab one of these pirated figures, unfortunately, and see what they feel like fit in here. Let's grab this stooge. Maybe they'll come back and say, "I don't worry about it. Those guys are building them by they're printing them by license." I don't know. Maybe they are. I hope so. Let's just cut all these clowns off. Where's my Tamiya cutters? All the dogs that stay with us are very well behaved. We started down this path because your daughter wanted a dog, but we knew she didn't have time to take care of it. Gymnastics. So you took care of it for her? Or you just take care of them at certain times of the year when she has time to do it? Yeah, you can't just, in New York, you just go, "Oh, we'll let it run around the backyard." Well, there's no backyard. All right. Now, if we take one of these guys, boy, this stomach is just out of control. I'm going to chop him off here. And we still need to chop him off a little bit more. So all these tanks with the commander's hatch open, I'm probably going to make them platoon leaders. So if I got another one of these, and I'm sure I will, it'll be with the hatches closed. A lot of the work falls on me, but my daughter helps. Main thing is that we don't have a dog every day. Oh. Well, you don't get attached to them in case they die. You ever consider what happens? What happens if something happens to them when they're under your care? Is that like a lawsuit waiting to happen? You killed my Mimi. I mean, she's 80 years old. What the hell, you know? You killed my Mimi. Or whatever the dog's called. I don't know. Hopefully you'd already thought about that possibility and like, oh shit, now Tony's gonna make me worry about that. Now here's the extra spare wheels, but I don't see the pegs that they would fit under. And here's, oh, this goes like this. Nice. Oh yeah, we will have to get more of these. We'll have to get more. We looked after a very old dog where I was worried about that. The dog passed for the owner, fortunately. Yeah. Next thing you know, I want $15 million for that dog. This litigious society we live in. I would imagine New York's even more litigious than where you're from. This thing is absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Well, I'm gonna glue it in place. I'm gonna glue it in place. I'm more comfortable doing that. I don't want to take this on and off and have something breaks. That's kind of the default for me, is to assemble everything and then paint it after it's assembled. Where's the super glue? This fits perfectly. And there's something about this resin. It's almost just a wee bit rubbery. It's got some give to it instead of just like crack break. Yeah, the Panzer II I have is also amazing. It's a G from Coulon. Yeah, it's this one. You have this one. So I don't think both of these are going to have the same number on them. this in any different manner. Let's see, let me look at that micro mark chart here. Okay, so if I'm working on the 1st Panzer Battalion, this H has to be a, a 1. It has to have a 1. It could be in the light pens. It could be in the headquarters of the second one. Could be in the headquarters of the second one, or it could be in the headquarters of the 1st company, or in one of the platoons. I'm gonna make the executive decision that they're listed in the order that they are. So, 1st Light Panzer Company, 2 platoons with Panzer 3 with 5 Panzer 3Gs. So that's going to be 1, 2, and then it will be it'll be 1, 1. That those 2 platoons will be the 2nd platoon and the first platoon and the 2nd platoon. The other one will be a 3, and the other one will be a 4. So that Panzer 2C would, and I'm also going to assume that the Panzer 3 that's in a platoon that also has 4 Panzer 2s in it, I'm going to assume that the Panzer 3G has that lower number. So that one would be 141 for that 1G. So the G and the H are not going to be in the same. They're not going to be in the same platoon. They might have the same number. Although I'm probably going to give this one a 2 and give this one a 1. There's no point in having 2 with the same number unless I absolutely have to do that. And no 3s. 3s are right out. Oh, you went with a bag over part of the gun. Yeah, I actually like that. I'm not a big fan of the bags over the Panzer 2s, completely covered, but I do like the kind of like a battleships. So the next one I get will have a bag on it. It'll be a bag lady. Okay. So I'm gonna move that one off to the side. Actually, I need to be proactive so I don't have a mess on my hands. This is the 3G. I'm gonna go ahead and put these extra parts that I have to make a decision on for the 3G. And I'd probably glue them after the fact. Honestly, some of this stuff needs to go to the Panzer 4E that lacks detail compared to these. And it's an E, so that's got to be, it's got to have the lucky 4 on it. Second platoon. I mean, this might not be 100% right, but it gives me enough confidence in numbering these things that I'm pretty happy with the result. And there's no doubt that I would have made one of the companies a 3 and wanted to use it early. So I have a Panzer 2F. So according to this list, there aren't any. There aren't any here. So I can just label them anyways, like I don't know any, or make it for the. They're all in the 3rd and 7th company that aren't here yet. I'm sure I'll make the right decision when it comes down to it. Thing here. There we go. So we're going to finish cleaning this up, and then we're going to roll into painting the Crusader. I think we should be okay. I think we should be okay. Or maybe not. I got to do that on video. I don't feel like firing up the camera. Fuck that. That can wait. Yeah, got two of these arms, these torsion arms that are broken, and 2 over here that are also broken. Or just didn't print. Looks like they didn't print. You know, if something's not going to print, that's a pretty good thing not to print. Let's make sure this doesn't. These little attachment points remind me of a Cuban pastry item. I'll show this to you. They're called cappuccinos. Cuban cappuccino. I bet you've seen them before. Cappuccino pastry. It's more like a cake. It's like a wet cake. That's what they look like. The little attachment points. Hey, they're little cappuccinos. Yeah, here we go. It's like almost like little wet cakes. And they're like in this syrup, or I'm not really a fan of cake stuff anyways. They look like little cappuccinos. You know what I'm talking about. Well, now you know what I'm talking about. You've seen these little guys. I'm sure some of your prints have some of these little cappuccinos. There we go. All right, now. had the torsion arm issue on your Panzer II. Fortunately, they were staggered, so there was no issue with the track attaching solidly as enough contact points. Exactly, it's not an issue. If you're going to pick something to not print, that's a pretty good choice right there. This thing's just gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And it's going to take a while to paint because we got to make all those little things pop. But it'll be worth it. It'll be absolutely worth it. Okay, holes. Holes done. I didn't check if there was a bright parts for the Panzers. Man, he gives me the wrong ones and I take his faith. I'm fucked. I'm fucked if it's the wrong ones. You know, because we all make mistakes. I pop this thing off if I need to. I better. Let me check my Panzer guide. I think this is my download. I take so many photos and I can't find shit. Here it is. Yeah. This guide. Photo ID often difficult due to factory upgrades and or field workshop modifications. Now, unfortunately, it looks like there's spider webs between the two road wheels all the way around. I don't know if that's worth my time. I see. Is it not noticeable? Maybe. Well, you know what? I can remove those once it's on the tank because we already have this track cracking. It's already cracked here and cracked here. So we need to hurry and put this thing on here before we've got issues. Now, sprockets go to the front on German tanks. It makes more sense for the sprocket to be at the front, pulling things, instead of pushing it. I don't know. I'm not an engineer. I'm used to them being at the front. We won't put glue on these ones that are missing. How about that? My bad, the torsion arm issue is on the Panzer 3, not 2, but the same result. So maybe it's a Panzer, maybe it's this print. Maybe there's something intrinsic in this print that makes it not want to print. I got those decals from District Miniatures and I haven't tried them out. We'll try them out on the Crusader though. I hope they're great because nobody's shipping as good as theirs, like cost-wise. I'm just going to glue this on before and we can clean it up once it's on here. I want to add some resistance to this so I don't end up with a broken track in my hands. Yep, this was missing 2 arms as well. I believe it's the same 2 arms as the other side. So if you had to get them 11340s, would you get them from Chad or would you get the Italeri ones? I'm thinking I'd get the Italeri ones because I get free decals with them. And they're like not a pain to. I mean the Italeri 2-packs, not the reissued Eschi ones. That I wouldn't do. Rubber band track, no. I don't mind messing with it. It just doesn't look as good. Honestly, the Italeri models are very good for fast builds. Do they have enough rivets on the turret? I was concerned about that being the case. It might be like missing some of the detail. I feel like, the rivets that need, if it's a vehicle that has rivets, man, you need to have the rivets on there because like that's a distinct look of the vehicle. I mean, they give you in one pack 10 decals. So you could literally do, that's why I was thinking, man, it should be nice to have 10 of them. Then you got all those license plates and everything for them as well. Okay. Well, I mean, if it wasn't for Chad, I wouldn't even consider 3D printing them. I was just get the Italeri ones. Okay. Ooh, this has got extra stuff on. Oh, we got to put this stuff on here. Looks too creative. This looks too creative. Oh man. Yeah, look at all this shit back here. I'm probably gonna add it afterwards though. But you can only do that on one G, on one H. I mean, I don't want this on every one of them with the boxes that are shaped the same way. Like, why is that one teetering in a certain way on every tank? Wow. All right. This hatch is good. It's like, is it too tall? Nope. I feel like the Italians didn't do too bad in Operation Crusader once they showed up to fight. You know. But where is Gambara? Yeah, exactly. Okay, Marcus. And extra pieces of track. Yeah, we can put that on the G. You know, you got an extra 2 pieces of track here, 3 pieces of track. Four. Do I hear 4 pieces of track? No, this one actually has the little sandbags. Yep, goes like this. Yep, goes the sandbags, and it doesn't cover up the vision slot, so you can still see out of it. And it's got little sandbags there. I wonder if it fits on the G also. It should. Yep. And what I'd probably do with this is, if I get another one of these and I want to add something to this one, I can take some of those sandbags and carve them off. So there's definitely all kinds of different ways you can make these little guys look. I just need to keep them with the correct thing, or I'm gonna go crazy. And like, which one does the extra thing come with? I won't know. We'll probably paint these plain and then add stuff on them. Actually, I probably won't add stuff on them until I have more of them. Until I have like 6. And I gotta make them all look different. Slightly different. Is this too tall? I think it might be too tall. I think it might be too tall. I need to lower this a little bit. Got any wet dry sandpaper? That's what'll do it. I bet I do. The question is it right here? Yep. Yep. And used it for stuff I shouldn't be using it for. Where's back to my 1/35th scale model days. You buy stuff from Verlinden and you had to take all that stuff off. I've done this in 30 years. I'm getting there. Not being taken off evenly. And it's not that much needs to be removed. There we go. I don't know why this drawer is stuck more than any of the other ones. I should just replace it. Move it towards the bottom. It's like the most used drawer. It's the hardest one to open. There's other stuff. I got to make a decision on what's going to be. Yeah, there's some other sandbags here that are, you know. That's easy enough to add afterwards. After I've got enough different vehicles that I can make those decisions. Ugh. All right. Let's put these guys aside. See how we're doing here. You give this thing a wash. I'm gonna go use the little boy's room and I'll be right back. All right. Let's go ahead and do the Marmon Harrington. The wash on the Marmon Harrington. Let's set up this stupid camera again. Well, we'll give this a shot. This might end up having been too much of a pain in the ass. Switch the video. I'm not even going to plug it in right now. The power. I should have enough power. This is only very, very short. We're going to grab some goop here. Put the strong tone down. I was using the other tone, the soft tone for it. The first desert vehicle I did. I like this a little bit more contrast. We're going to lighten it up anyways. It's kind of a fat little part on the front of this, just for an anti-tank rifle. Bad thing about an anti-tank rifle is it's no good at knocking out like light vehicles, and I mean like a truck, unarmored vehicles. I mean, unless you clip somebody directly with that round, in which case they're hosed. I mean, that's you're done for. I'm gonna go ahead and go over the Vickers as well, for good measure. Set that off to the side. No point in even bother painting the tires. Let's get a clip for this. Got a molded on jerry can there, so if you didn't want one, tough titty, you get one. May the jerry can be with you. And this is going to look darker. You gotta trust the process. We've done this enough times. We've even done this with a counter vehicle. And the thing to remember is this is multiple steps. You're not going to be done with one step. And you see the big difference between one and the other one. More jerry cans, more confiscated jerry cans. Don't worry about the brush strokes on this as much as getting it everywhere it needs to be. In other words, don't worry so much about which way the brush strokes are going. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. You know, if I did this one with enamels, I'd have to cover the whole thing in some gloss coat. That's just even more steps. And I was trying to list all these steps that I was doing for these vehicles, and it's like 13 or 14 steps already. We don't need to get into like the 20s and stuff. This gives me the results that I'm looking for. And the reasonable, it'd be even easier if I didn't have to wait for this to dry. That's really the delay on any of this. Okay, and then we are going to want to try to get into the wheel well here if possible. Don't care about the underside of the vehicle. It's irrelevant. I can't be into everything and I can't give a shit about everything. Not everything deserves equal importance. Got to go to the craft store today with the daughter. She's doing some knitting. She's making a little creature. I told her, I will always support you doing creative stuff like that. Just don't do it for a living. That's okay, so already this looks dramatically different. And remember, it looked kind of sloppy when I was painting that, right? That's why I didn't want to layer on the paint too thick. It looks good now. And we haven't even done all the dry brushing stuff. No point in painting the tires. No point in painting the tires. The tires don't need this treatment on it. If you did it on it, it'd be lost cause anyways. Let's get some in here in the wheel well. Let's darken that a little bit. Okay. We're looking good there. We're looking good there. Okay. Let's make sure the turret looks good. Yep. And let's make sure people can see what this looks like. All right, and we'll stop that video. Nope, thought I missed a spot. All right, let's rinse this. All right, now let's get rid of this. This is the only part of this that I'm doing that I hate is what I'm about to do now. And that's because this paint is great for airbrushing, but I really don't like it for what I'm about to do. We're still building up the base color, so we don't have to paint the tires yet. Probably going to connect this. It's probably going to go through a lot of this. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take this base color that we painted this thing originally, and we're going to dry brush over it really, really lightly. And we have to do it really, really lightly because this paint is very, very wet. Very, very wet. Unfortunately. And we're going to use a paper towel for this and get some of this moisture off of this paint. So this is, no, it's not Portland stone. It is the light stone color. You probably can see if I'm doing it correctly. Sand yellow. Take these pieces and we'll move them off to the side. And then use a dry brush like this. And we're going to come in here. And it's really, really bright. It looks very, very orange-like. And we're going to come in and we're just going to lightly go over it. See, it's still too wet. The difference between one and the other looks like that. All we're doing is we're going to make the color of the actual tank look like it's not even, like it didn't come out of the damn factory. I'm sorry, it's a British tank, the bloody factory. I could do this with the airbrush, but I'm not going to do as good a job with the airbrush. Maybe in 20 more years. Let's not forget the little turret, the baby turret. This might actually not work out. And what I mean by may not work out is the video may not work out. This will turn out fine, but it may not turn out well on the video. In which case, well, I did all I could. You just have to watch my live videos if you want to know how it works. It's kind of hard to find the motivation to help people out that aren't willing to help themselves. Back when we were doing DBA stuff, I'm like, hey, you live in the area? Yeah, well, come by to the convention and we'll teach you everything you know. And all I had to do was show up, and they didn't want to. Well, I'm not going to explain it to you in emails, okay? Because that creates a shitload of work for me, and you're going to just kind of be, you're going to get the wrong idea. Come by. If you can't come by, well, then you're on your own. Nope, shit. I really don't know how durable these little protectors are going to be. That was always a concern of mine. Get a little bit height advantage on this. And like right now I'm filming this. I don't know if it's in frame or not. Shit. This is just one of the many levels of dry burst this thing's going to have. So, in a perfect world, there'd be an exact equivalent to this color with the consistency of Vallejo. Because these colors they're too watery for this. I'm making do, but they're too watery. Now, this is the last color that's at this AK. The rest of it is Vallejo. So, it's not that big of a deal. It's just an observation that. But these do airbrush really well, and I don't have to cut them down with thinner, which saves a lot of drama. Yeah, this thing came off the super glue. Shit happens. I don't think those things are going to be very durable. And I actually don't care that some of these nooks and crannies, this lighter color gets in it, because it just provides more variety. Let me pause this video. Let me play some of it. Let's see. Can I play this fast? We'll make sure it's in in register. Camera zoomed in too much. See, guys, I don't fucking know that while I'm filming it. Alright. Yeah, it's too zoomed out. That's too zoomed out. There we go. How about we do a custom one? There we go. Alright. Yeah, this is starting to be too much trouble for me. I'm just going to say, you want to know how you do it? Come check out my live sessions. If not, don't complain. Figure it out yourself. Ain't nobody got time for that. Now I'm actually going to go ahead and attach it to this, because this gives me something to hold on to. The editing alone on this might drive me bananas. And normally I'd be worried about brushing this down in a certain direction, but it's not really that important at this stage. We're going to try to avoid the end of the barrel. There's no point in painting that and then having to turn around and darkening it. This is why I don't put the antenna until the end. I mean, it's looking pretty darn good. Now, at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to assemble it. This is the front. Okay, so this goes like this. And just see what it all looks like together. Reattach that in a little bit. Oh, we need to push this farther in. There we go. Otherwise, it's not going to fit around the sand skirts. I like doing these little checks to make sure I'm on the right track for my own morale. So this is the basic color of the tank without any weathering on it. Well, none of the desert weathering on it. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is let's rinse this thing out. Let's flip this over. And the colors I use for the desert are normally green ochre as the base one. But we aren't going to use that one. We're going to skip right over that one. But before we do that, since we're going to do weathering stuff, what we have to do now is we've got to paint the things that will end up being weathered, like the wheels and stuff like that. So even though we just put this thing back together, let's take it back apart. And hopefully stuff doesn't break in the process. Yeah, stuff breaks in the process. Shit happens. Okay. It's just a really tight fit, that's all. No, nothing super glue can't fix. Actually, not even super glue, this right here. It's my first time doing one of these, so I think next time what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually make the holes a little bit bigger. So when I do assemble it like this, I won't have to do it a second time. We'll know about what it looks like. Okay, so, and same thing with the turret. Let's make sure we're not grabbing something that is going to be an issue. Okay. And there may be a little bit of scrubbing there. It's not really worried about that at this point. Okay, so we're going to get sand. And that's the Vallejo sand color, which should be dark sand. Zoom out on this a little bit. Okay. No, I can't do this. I need to listen to myself. All right, we're going to use pure black, and I like using this stuff right here because it's flatter than the normal stuff. So we'll just put a little goop on there. I can't see what I'm fucking doing. There we go. I'm gonna just give up on this. I'm just torturing myself. Like, you need to stop being so helpful. Okay. And let's get a little bit of water here. Doing the video anymore. Fuck it. It's too much trouble. It's too much trouble, and I'm going to create a shitload of work for myself. No. Now I don't know if this particular vehicle actually has two tires back to back. I have a feeling it does. but only one's depicted here. Yeah, no painting videos. Sorry, folks. It's just creating another form of disappointment. I'm like, I don't do this thing to get disappointed. Doesn't have to be super neat. If you end up going over the rim, there's going to be another layer of dry brushing that's going to be on here with that sand. That's the idler wheel. Doesn't have rubber on it. Yeah, flip from the other direction. And using this craft paint instead of the Vallejo, the craft paint is flatter. So it gives you a better idea of what this thing is going to look like without having to wait till the very end when you hit it with a flat coat and go, oh. Okay, so we got all the wheels covered. There's nothing else that goes in that color there. Let's try to find everything that's of that same color, like the Daze machine gun. And this Daze machine gun. That's it, I think. If I forget something, I'll just come back to it. It's not that big of a deal. And then the next thing is the tracks, and then we're probably going to have to stop because the tracks need to dry a little bit. And what I'm using for tracks, I have been using for tracks, is good old German camouflage black, or whatever the hell it's called now. This is what's left of this one. I'm gonna try to use this one up. Actually, let's go ahead and pull this off. Should be anything I can break, right? Not within reason. I don't bother painting the backside of these things. There's no reason to. I'll paint the inside of this one because you can see it, but this is one of the pegs broke off of it. Well, we won't do that again. We won't be taking these on and off. Problem is, it got thicker with the paint. I could probably put something to mask it, but now you're just asking for too much trouble. No, I'll tell you what, we're going to continue this next time that we're around. We're going to go ahead and stop for now, and we'll see you guys on the next one.